The Chicago Cubs avoid being swept by the Rattlesnakes from Arizona, while the White Sox get cooked and barbecued by the Kansas City Royals. Baseball's 2024 Hall of Fame class has a special Chicago connection to it. The WNBA All-Star Game sees its highest ratings ever, while the USA men's basketball Olympic team nearly escapes with the victory. That and a special edition of Old School TV Monday comes up to you next on this Monday edition of Second City Sports, which starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
No, folks, I'm not from a different dimension, okay? I'm just in a different part of my house today. You can find me at Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call the Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I'll give Lakeena full powers to give you fools to bill and be a boot.
Toodles!
But before we begin, we must remind you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in living color, and especially right now on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports folder and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook, or your PC, or your Android, just head up to Google Play Store, download that Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
And we'll be providing you with some of the best here on Second City Sports, even though I'm in a different dimension. We'll talk, of course, we'll recap the Baseball Hall of Fame ceremonies that commenced yesterday. Also, too, the Open Championship. A guy wins his second within a month over Royal Troon. Also, a pretty good weekend for LeBron. He saves day for the United States against South Sudan and gets a big honor that he'll be doing this weekend for the opening ceremonies at the Olympics coming up on Friday. We'll talk about that. And a special edition of Old School TV Monday. But first, Sid, let's go to Diamond here. And of course, the Cubs save their season, and of course, in the only way they can. Yesterday they get a bases-loaded walk from Nico Horner as he helped drew that, as they were able to salvage a game against the Rattlesnakes, the Diamondbacks, 2-1, and they have a big series coming up starting today against the Brewers over at Wrigley. I don't want to say this is make or break, but with the trade deadline only about a week and a half away, this is definitely a season. This is definitely season saver for the Cubs. I feel like.
The old saying in baseball, Lakeena, great pitch, is beats great hitting, and something to that effect. We use that term, especially during the playoffs, We saw that on display on the north side over the weekend. The Arizona Diamondbacks came into Chicago and took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. Zach Gallen, who had an injury with the baseball going off his right ankle, he was able to stay in the game, but he kept the Cubs off base and off the scoreboard last Saturday night in front of a national television audience. And you saw last Friday as well, even though the Cubs mustered out just 2 stinking runs, the Diamondbacks starting pitching was excellent. But the Diamondbacks starting pitching was once again excellent yesterday, but the Cubs found a way to win. And you're a good team, which the Cubs are not. But when you're a team that's trying to fight to get some respect and to go chase down one of these 3 wild card spots, you have to find ways to win games, especially when you're not playing well. Now, Shota Imanaga gave the Cubs great starting pitching yesterday. 10 strikeouts in 7 innings pitched, only giving up 1 walk and giving up the long run of the game. But here's the thing, Lakeena, the Cubs had to get their heads out of there. You know what, to start creating opportunities to score runs. We talked about it during that long month and a half. It seemed like um, offensive slump. They could get them on, but they can't get them across on play. Now, this past weekend, it was a struggle just to get them on base. Only 3 hits on Saturday. That was
Hmm.
very inexcusable. Shout out to Zach Gafflin for
Like
pitching a
Africa.
great. Eflin, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
thinking of the actor. I'm pitching a great game for Arizona, but the Cubs got to find a way to create scoring opportunities. Yes, this is a home run hitting team, but when you're not hitting on all cylinders, you got to find creative ways to do that. Now, the Cubs did look out yesterday. Nico Horner, who I thought was the other player of the game yesterday, he led up the bottom of the ninth inning with that leadoff double, which Seiya Suzuki was able to drive him in to force extra innings to tie the game before Horner forced a bases loaded walk-off walk for the win. But Lakina, the Cubs, they got to put uh, their foot to the pedal in going forward. And like you said, with this Brewers series that's starting tonight, there's no more excuses now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Shota will not be facing the Brewers. This will be his like the third or fourth time facing him, so they're gonna get the back end of that rotation. So it'll be interesting to see if the Cubs can try to slow down that solid offense of the Brewers. And like I said, if they ideally a sweep would be good, but again, that'd be hard against a division leading rival. But if they can win 2 out of 3 and perhaps maybe try to get some of that, maybe put a little dent in that lead that the Brewers have, maybe they can try to salvage something. If they this next week and a half is huge for the Cubs and their season.
I think the guy hammering your roof is send you a message about your baseball team, but I digress. You're listening to Second City Sports Zone Chicago, the Monday edition. Sid Keenan here with you right here on Sports Zone Chicago as we discuss the Chicago Cubs 2-1 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Cubs avoid the sweep. Their record now stands at 48-53 on the season. They have a big 3 game series that starts tonight on the north side against the division leader Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee swept the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. We'll talk about their series coming on along with the rest of what happened over the weekend in Major League Baseball. But getting back to the north side, Lakina, couple things I took away from watching last Saturday night's game. Cal Hendricks didn't pitch that badly. I know he took the loss, but I blame them more on the offense. But I didn't think Cal Hendricks pitched that bad. And listen to this: you brought this group up on our show last Friday. The Cubs bullpen actually has been doing well. Last Saturday, um, 3 innings pitch, no walks, no hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean the bullpen. I think they haven't allowed a run in like 35 innings or something like that. So maybe they're starting to figure things out with even with the injuries, when the shuffling that council has to do. So it really, it really has been like the hitting that's been the problem. This has been the kind of the problem with this Cubs team and the inconsistencies, because you thought that maybe okay, once one group with the one part of the team figures it out, the other team goes falls by the wayside, and vice versa. So for me, I think, look, in this series against the Brewers, you have to score runs, you have to be solid with their pitching. So it has to be cohesive and try to perhaps maybe get that cohesiveness that we've been craving for all year.
Yeah, and the Cubs, as we talked about, doing that seemed like forever. The month and a half slump they had offensively. You got to steal bases. You got to play the hit and run, but you got to be smart about it, not get picked off bases. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You be aware of the situations of all times, and And if you could put those things together, like you said, Lakeena, this starting pitching has been the Cubs' savior all year long. Okay, and like you said, the bullpen is starting to come around now. The offense, since the All Star break, which has only been 3 games, has taken a step backwards. They need to take a step forward, and like we've been saying before, we'll say it again. This Cubs team has been consistently inconsistent. That needs to stop.
Closing out here, what do you think? How do you think the Cubs are going to do in this series against the Brewers?
Looking at the pitching matchups here for this Brewers series, I know you got Javier Assad going tonight. I know he didn't do as well. I know he just came off the injured list about a week and a half ago. But before he went on the injury list, he was one of their saving graces at the back end of their bullpen. Jameson Taillon, I'm interested to watch his start. His next start, he's going to go tomorrow. And, of course, Wednesday you have the afternoon game to close out. And I'm trying to find who's going to start on the Cubs starting pitcher for their Wednesday afternoon slate. But I think the Cubs and Justin Steele will start on Wednesday. And the Brewers will have an undecided starter as of now. But the Cubs, I usually don't put guarantees for this team because they surprise you. You think you have them figure it out. They surprise you going the other way. I will say this one guarantee about the Cubs: they will not get swept. I will say that much. They will not get swept. I know Justin Steele, who pitches on Wednesday, he lost his last start last Friday against the Diamondbacks, but I think he's going to continue to pitch well, but the offense has to help him out. So I think the Cubs will lose 2 out of 3.
Yeah, the Cubs have now lost like 10 of their last 13 against the D-backs in the last couple of years. Yeah, that's not good. So we'll see what happens there now. All right, more MLB talk coming up as the Sox and the Royals. Well, okay, we won't. They actually had a chance to actually not get swept yesterday. We'll talk about that. Also, too, of course, Shota and another record, another home run. And things are getting very tight in the AL West, I should say. And we'll recap yesterday's Baseball Hall of Fame ceremonies in Cooperstown. More Diamond Talk coming up next. Lakeena McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean,
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
these colored pencils too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver. And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. If you want to follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG, you can do so at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter. X and Q is going to get in the IG.
We have less than 85 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a sports talk radio show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we discuss the Chicago White Sox and the rest of Major League Baseball from this past weekend, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, Sid. We'll keep it short and sweet with the Sox because unfortunately they got swept again for the 15th, was it 15 or 16th straight time? Going back to before the All-Star break, of course, they get swept by the Royals. They actually had a shot to win this game. They're actually up, but unfortunately, the Royals got together, got the sweep. But listen to this: 7-1, 6-1, and 4-1. They only scored 3 runs. The Sox did during that weekend series with the Royals. And Sid, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, the White Sox got a score 17-3 over the weekend by Kansas City. It looks like they're going to be a serious contender for one of those AL wildcard spots. Drew Thorpe, the Sox rookie who they acquired in that Dylan Cease trade before the start of the season, he had another solid outing yesterday, 5 strikeouts in 6 innings, only giving up 2 walks and 3 hits. He gave up 0 earned runs. Let me repeat, 0 earned runs, but because of the lack of offense, and this unfortunately has been the story for the Southsiders all year long. It happened again yesterday. The bullpen can only do so much. We know it's not talented to begin with, but all the bad habits reaped this ugly head over the weekend, and I can try to come up with various ways to explain this, but this is old news, bad news, and this like a circus show, and I don't know what else can be said other than their road trip continues at Arlington, Texas, where they'll play the Texas Rangers for the next 4 games. Will Garrett Crochet start in one of those games? I'm not sure. We'll check and see, or they're going to use him out of the bullpen until next week's trade deadline to save him, using air quotes here. I don't know, but it's just a circus show going on right now, and I don't know how else you could put this. Maybe you have a better phrase than I can use on this show, but right now I don't have any answers.
Yeah, if you're hearing any hammering going on for the rest of the show, I think that's how Sox fans feel about this season. Self Lugo retired 14 straight, his first career complete game. Yeah, what a way to get against the White Sox. Bobby Witt, had a couple big hits in that series for the Royals. So for me, it's sort of one of those things where I don't know what you can say about the Sox team at this point. I mean, could we be seeing these last few games with Crochet and Robert Jr. among a few others? Tommy Phamb's name's been floated around perhaps as well. They're saying, we talked about on Friday, like as many as 9 guys could be dealt. So it really is, they've called up a lot of guys to talk about the Sox. Thorpe actually looked great in that start on Saturday, but it's just like one of those things you're just, what more can you say? I mean, God, we got about another month and a half of this. Woo, 2.5 months.
Yay. 2.5 months. Yeah. Here's your White Sox starting pitchers for the series that starts tonight for the Texas Rangers. Eric Fedde would take the bump tonight. Tomorrow, Garrett Crochet. Watch out for the innings limit. I guarantee you won't go past 5. We'll talk about that on Friday. Of course, Chris Flexen, he'll go on Wednesday, and Jonathan Cannon he'll go on Thursday. So, like you said, Lakeena, with Garrett Crochet, could this be his last start in the White Sox uniform? Me personally, I don't think so, but you never know. And we talk about some of the other veterans on the team, like Luis Robert Jr. I don't think he's going anywhere past next week. Michael Kopech could go. Chris Flexen could go. Eric Fetty, tonight's starter, could go. So, and then you mentioned Tommy Pham. So, like I said before, I think between 6 players, up to 6 players, will probably go from this roster between now and next Wednesday. So, we'll see what happens, and we'll see how these veterans play. Hopefully, they don't get hurt in terms of their trade value for the White Sox. So, we'll see how this string plays out for the next week and a half.
Could be interesting, maybe very active on the South Side. Now, let's go to some good baseball for a second. Sid, let's go to MLB. I was listening to second season sports coach Lakeena McGee Sidney Brown with you. Let's switch to kind of order up here. I think the Dodgers, they're back on track. They swept the Red Sox. Now, Dodgers fans can be a little bit quiet at the moment. So, Yamamoto, I mean, their bats still they're starting to come back with all the guys. They hit 6 home runs yesterday in that Sunday to complete and that yesterday to complete the sweep. So it looks like Ohtani had a couple of big hits in that series. I don't think they found that ball yet either. I mean that ball he hit that ball really far. I think they ended up going to San Diego or something, but who knows? but yeah, 473 feet. That's So Jason Hayward's coming back. Looks like they get some of their big guys back. That's still out. It looks like for another week, but it looks like they're starting to kind of get things rolling here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, we talked about the Dodgers starting pitching, going through injuries right now. Tyler Glasnow is supposed to make his start on Wednesday against the San Francisco Giants, and Clayton Kershaw looks like he's going to make his season debut on Thursday against the San Francisco Giants. So, big series coming up for the Dodgers. We'll discuss that in a few minutes. But as far as this past weekend series against Boston, the offense came to light. I saw the game on live on Friday. Freddie Freeman with that big grand slam in the bottom of the 8th inning to give the Dodgers the first win in that series. Last Saturday night's game, Kike Hernandez came up big. Did you check out that catch by James Outman in the bottom of the 7th inning?
I saw that. Yeah.
Crashing into the Robin Reinsnyder of a potential home run, a potential extra bases. I know Outman's been up and down this year, injured too. Andy Pye has replaced him, but Outman got his time starting at center field last Saturday night. He made a terrific catch. Of course, you mentioned last night the bats did come through once again for the Dodgers. So back up on that Dave Roberts talk of getting fired. I think Andrew Freeman, their GM, is going to make a big move or two between now and next Wednesday's trade deadline. So we'll see what happens is what the Dodgers do as far as making moves from their front office. But the offense came alive this weekend. Boston, this is a letdown for them. I know they've been quietly one of the surprise teams in MLB, but they had a chance to take a couple of those, especially the first 2 games of that series. But they let it in the bullpen, let it get away.
Yeah, exactly, and that's been a problem for the Red Sox this year. Saying there, the Padres actually won a series outside of the Dodgers. They beat the Guardians 2 out of 3, and Michael came forward with a no-hitter yesterday. And those 2 other relievers, a 2-hitter there to keep for the right match of that series and taking the series. So looks like maybe the Padres, like I said, I don't know. The Padres may figure things out. Just we think that they did. They end up just we think they're going to say they end up zagging, or and vice versa. But then again, we'll see. Maybe they're starting to figure things out over there in San Diego. Going into
let's give props to Dylan Cease as well for his performance last Saturday. 17 pitch, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk.
I have a stat about Mr. Cease if I can see. This is where a different setup. Everything is all kind of discombobulated. So hold on here. But Cease, I think, is already kind of been killing it as we all thought he would against for the Padres. So you can tell he's happier now. He feels kind of content. I mean, he has pitched at least 7 innings, only allowing no more than 1 hit. That ties with Hall of Famer Pete Alexander all the way back in 1915 for such outings by any MLB pitcher in a single season in the modern era. So Cease has been definitely, this is the 4th time that he's done that. He did a couple of times when he was with the White Sox. So, big ball there. The Brewers swept the 2 game against the Twins. Don't ask me how that happened. Don't ask me how they set that up, but yeah, they did beat the Twins. Rhys Hopkins, the go-ahead home run to help. Thanks for nothing, Minnesota. Thank you. But so it looks like of course it's with that big series against the Cubs, but we'll see what happens there in that series. The Cardinals are an interesting team. I know you said some people probably already picked the Cardinals to win that, the NL Central. They're starting to kind of figure things out a little bit. They won a couple in a row. They win two out of 3 in their series, including a doubleheader on Saturday against the Braves. We'll talk about the Braves because they have another injury they got to deal with. So yeah, what do you think about those two teams, the Cardinals and the Brewers?
The Brewers, they did what they had to do. It was an offensive series against the Twins. We talked about Milwaukee not being that dominant team, but they know what to do. They have gamers over there. They play situational baseball very well. They're led by their starting pitching and bullpen, but it was that bat that came alive last weekend against a very talented Minnesota Twins team. As far as the St. Louis Cardinals, we talked about the struggles of Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado all year long. I don't know if you saw the quote from Paul Goldschmidt yesterday. He was basically holding himself accountable. He got dropped in the lineup to number 7. He said, until I can prove myself, I'm just paraphrasing here, until I prove myself that I'm worthy of batting at the top of that lineup, I need to stay there. And the St. Louis Cardinals, we talked about them since the middle of the May, Lakeena. Their starting pitching was Sonny Gray has turned it around, and the offense has been good enough. But with the Cubs struggling and with the rest of the division struggling, Cincinnati and to a lesser extent Pittsburgh, we'll get to them in a second, the Cardinals find themselves in this NL wild card race. I think that's going to be more exciting than the AL wild card race. But the Cardinals just put themselves in a good position. Will they finally hold on? We still have a long way to go.
Yeah, the consistency has been a problem for the Cardinals this year. That's why that's where the predicament they're in right now. Now, speaking of the Pirates, they did win 2 out of 3 against Philadelphia, and they needed that series more than Philly did. We'll get to them in a second. I'm talking about the Phillies. Tyler Phillips pitched 6 scoreless innings, I should say. That they helped them avoid the sweep there, but he kind of saved the day for the Phillies there. But the Pirates, we know that their management is not going to spend a lot, so this is about. They're kind of going to stand past. This is probably what the same Pittsburgh team going to be seeing all season, the rest of the season. So if they can hang on, that's really going to be the number one question, I feel like.
I know on the flip side for Philadelphia, I know JT Realmuto, their star catcher who has been injured off and on all year. I know he made his return during the series the other night. But like you said, Lakeena, Pittsburgh, this was a bigger series for them. I think Philadelphia is still going to be okay. I think they still going to make a move to get another bullpen arm in there for Pittsburgh. If you're a fan, of course, you have rookie pitcher Paul Skeens, who's really been on fire. And I know you still have closer Aroldis Chapman, a former Cubs closer from the 2016 championship team. But you got to put pressure on your management to make some moves and stop penny pitching.
Well, see, that's the Pittsburgh brass, banging over there up where I'm at. They're like, "How dare you say that, Sid?" But I'm sure they'll digress. Going to speaking of the National League East, the Phillies. Like you said, I'm not worried about the Phillies either. And of course, Tyler Phillips, who had a great outing to kind of save it. Plus, they didn't have to face their back end, their front end pitching. I should say. I'm talking about the Pirates, so not too worried about them. Now, the Braves, I am worried about. They suffered another injury. Strider's on. We know Ronald Acuna Jr. now. Ozzy Albies is done for the year. So, I don't know what the Braves can do. I mean, it kind of feels like the Braves are kind of at crossroads here. Just when you thought they were starting to kind of get together, start to figure things out, they have another injury. He's going to be out for 8 weeks. I'm talking about Albies with that fractured wrist of his.
And also, too, don't forget about Max Fried, who I put pressure on early in the year. He's going to be on the injury list for the next 2 weeks with that forearm. So their front office needs to make a move. I know they picked up Whit Merrifield Jr., the veteran who got released by Philadelphia earlier this year, and so he's going to help them out there in the depth department. But that Braves front office is going to have to make some moves. I know they don't have much in their minor league system, but they got to figure out a way to piece this team together. Now, like I said, Matt Olson in particular, I'm looking for those 2 guys now to carry this Braves office. It's still good enough to get by, but Chris Sale and Ronaldo Lopez, both White Sox pitchers, both made the All-Star team. Haven't been any injuries come to those two guys, if that happens, I think the season is over for Atlanta. So, like you said, they are at a crossroads right now.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Now the Mets are they actually do have a fourth games later today against the Marlins. They've already lost 2 out of 3, so they really need to win this to split the series. Just when you thought that the Mets are starting to figure things out, and this kind of happens. So yeah, the Mets. I don't know. You think they could stay on? Be with this strike. This is that wild card.
They've been consistently inconsistent against the bad teams, especially against the Marlins. I want to say that I'm not going to see you say that they looked at the schedule and say, "Oh, we could beat the Marlins." I know that happens. Sometimes you play a lesser team. All you have to do is just quote unquote show up. But I think the middle of that bullpen, the middle relief I'm talking about the Mets has been a problem. Edwin Diaz has been just about lights out ever since his return from the suspension a few weeks ago. But their middle relief has been a problem. So the Mets have to straighten that out and get back to being hot on offense. If they could do that, I think they'll be okay. I know we'll talk about their schedule coming up later on to close out this segment, but you got to take care of business against the bad teams, and they failed to do that thus far.
Going to be very interesting what the Mets do here this next week and a half. Going to the AL West now. It's tied. Seattle. Oh, finally they woke up. It feels like, yay. They avoided the sweep against the Astros 6-4. They were up by, I think, like 8 games June 18th, and now of course it's tied. They're now tied as we're recording this with the Astros. So, for me. Yeah, let's say the next couple weeks are gonna be very interesting for both. Well, you can probably even add Texas there. Well, they're only 5 back, so all 3 of these teams are going to be playing each other in these next few weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction these 3 teams go.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez, we talked about his offensive struggles all year. He did hit a home run in that game last Saturday night, which the Houston Astros won, but he got injured yesterday trying to track down a fly ball in center field. I know the x-rays were negative, but he's listed as day-to-day. So even though we talked about his offensive struggles, he's a very good defensive player in the Seattle. Cannot afford to lose, especially the way they've been struggling on offense. On the flip side for Houston, we talked about the injuries, especially to their starting rotation early in the year. And let's not forget, Kyle Tucker has been out with an injury as well. And all of a sudden, they found themselves back in the race. As I told you a month ago, they had a chance to get back in the race. This race, just like last year, they got to do it offensively, and they're repeating the same script as of a year ago. Now, will the Astros make a move to improve their team? Now, the things are starting to open up. I don't know, but they put themselves in a better position than they were, like you said, a month ago.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens there in the NL West. Going to Central, we talked about the Guardians. They struggled. The Twins, of course, they got swept. Now, the Royals were actually the only team that actually kind of gained a game. Now they're tied with the Twins for 5 back with the Guardians.
Yeah, Cleveland, like you said, I'm not too worried about them. So, will their management make a move to bolster up their lineup or perhaps add another bullpen arm? We'll see about that. Detroit, I know they couldn't sweep Toronto yesterday, but I don't know what's going on with that team. Tariq Skubal is their top starting pitcher. Will he be traded between now and next Wednesday? We'll see. They're a meddling team at best. You mentioned Kansas City. They took care of the White Sox. What else is new? But here's the thing about Minnesota. I know they got swept, but their starting pitching has actually showed up minus the last 2 games. But due to their financial constraints, especially with their mess, just like all the other teams with Bally Sports, they can't make that big jump. Now, will they add somebody who's middle of the road to perhaps maybe strengthen their lineup or their bullpen? I don't know. I think they will, but we'll see what happens.
Could be very interesting that Central. Also, things that are getting interesting in the AL East, I should say. The Orioles didn't really have their best showing there. They did win 2 out of 3 against the Rangers, so that definitely helps. They did lose the rubber match yesterday. They didn't get the sweep. Now, as far as the Yankees are concerned, they actually are playing their 4th game in that series against the Rays right now. They're up 2-0. they have lost 2 in a row. They did win the first game on Friday, but then they lost 2 straight. So they're hopefully can split the series and stay within striking distance. We talked about the Red Sox, them getting swept by the Dodgers. So yeah, I mean it's still between the Orioles and the Yankees. It's gonna be interesting to see what the teams do as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline.
That series, the Yankees starting pitcher took another gut punch. Marcus Stroman, who actually didn't pitch that badly yesterday, the Yankees pitching staff still gave up they gave up a total of 8 home runs in the 3-game series so far. Nestor Cortez got rocked last Saturday, so the Rays the Tampa Bay Rays just took advantage of the Yankees pitching mistakes, and that's exactly what happened. Now, Garrett Cole, as you mentioned with the Yankees only win last Friday night, Garrett Cole pitched a well of a game for the Yankees. If it wasn't for him, their starting pitcher would really be in the take right now. So you think that Yankees GM Brian Cashel will make a move, hopefully, possibly for another starter. We'll see what happens.
Going to be interesting, like I said, in a lot of these divisions, especially get closer and closer. We about a week and a half before the trade deadline, so it's going to get a little bit, congested there. So we'll see what happens. We talked about the going to this schedule for this week. Of course, we talked about Tampa and the Yankees. They're going on right now. Like I said, the Yankees are early. Detroit and the Guardians. The Mets and the Marlins are finishing up their series as well. We'll see. Mets definitely need to win that one. St. Louis and Pittsburgh, Cincinnati and Atlanta, Philadelphia, Minnesota, and of course, you talked about it earlier, said the Sox start their series against the Rangers tonight. Eric Fetty and Michael Lorenzen, so that should be interesting there.
Yep, the Brewers and the Cubs will start tonight on the north side, and the Arizona Diamondbacks will continue their East Coast road trip, their Midwest East Coast road trip. They'll visit Kansas City. Boston will visit Colorado to take on the Rockies, the rematch of the 2007 World Series. The Anaheim Angels will take on Lakeena Seattle Mariners, and the San Francisco and LA Dodgers will do battle at Dodger Stadium starting tonight. In the series, the rest of the series that will start tomorrow: Baltimore at Miami, San Diego at Washington. The Mets and the Yankees will start their 2-game series, Subway Series from the Bronx. The first game will air tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on TBS nationally. Tampa Bay will visit the Blue Jays tomorrow. And the other series that will start tomorrow: Houston at Oakland. And that's your schedule for MLB for this upcoming week.
Oh, and don't forget the second game of the Mets-Yankees series will be on ESPN nationally at 6 o'clock. So, yay. So, it's the Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. Lakeena McGee Sidney Brown with you. Of course, we still got a couple of minutes in this segment, Sid. The 2024 Hall of Fame induction ceremony took place. I know there was some breaking news, so you might not have seen it. All the clips are on YouTube with all the speeches. Actually, you can get the whole ceremony as well on there. We'll just go to the Baseball Hall of Fame YouTube page is all right there. Of course, you got Todd Helton, Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, and Jim Leland. All 4 gentlemen had great speeches. Of course, Joe Mauer. Of course, we noticed we know some of his background. Of course, his mother. He was a very nice tribute to his mom. Saying that she was the best athlete of all of them. Of course, him and his 2 brothers. So that was a really sweet moment there. Big Papi just couldn't help himself, giving Adrian Beltre a little look. I'm surprised Beltre didn't punch him. So I guess he didn't want to start a down there at Cooperstown. Of course, Todd Helton, of course, we all know he's a man of very few words, but it was a really great speech, dedication to his wife Debbie and the rest of his family. And Jim Leland, of course, made you cry. Of course he did. So really great speech by all 4.
You calling Jim Leland the Dick Vermeil of MLB? I digress. But I teased at the start of the show that there was a Chicago connection with the Hall of Fame class from yesterday. Of course, Jim Leland, before he managed the Pittsburgh Pirates in the '86 season, he was the third base coach of the Chicago White Sox under Tony La Russa back in the day, and he was part of the '83 team. He was the third base coach of the White Sox. He was also part of the '83 team that won the AL West by 20 games over Kansas City way back when. But like I said, all the speeches were great. Joe Mauer also talked about his grandparents in that speech, and it was very touching. one complaint that I have, Lakeena, one complaint, I don't know if you paid attention to it. During Adrian Beltre's speech, both in English and Spanish, whoever had that damn air horn, I wanted to go to that person and shove it down that pie hole. Even though they blew it after Adrian stopped talking. Stop it! It was annoying.
Yeah, he did like every time there was like a pause. Yeah, every time there was a pause, they did that. The thing kept going on. I'm like, okay, dude.
We're not at a soccer match, folks. This is a speech. Whoever allowed that should be fired. So I'm dead serious. You there to listen to those people speak. I'm not here for a damn air horn. This ain't a Rihanna concert. Stop it. I digress.
Well, you remember those vuvuzelas years ago at the World Cup in Africa? Like, no, come on now. So I remember how annoying those were. But that was probably what we grab about that. Now, some of the notable first-time Hall of Famers from next year. You got Mr. CC Sabathia and Ichiro. So you got to think that those two guys are going to be first ballot, right? So of course,
who's going to be that one person that's going to vote them off for?
Oh, of course, there's always going to be one
more than being 100% complete.
There's always going to be that one. There's always going to be that one nut, right? So, some of the other players.
Who's that one nut that voted Mario Rivera not to be a clean sweeping for the?
I forgot. I think it might be a Boston writer, probably. Was it? was it Dan Shaughnessy?
If that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, Dan Shaughnessy, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But I think he did vote for him. So, of course, you got Curtis Granderson, Ben Zover, so the two Chicago connections. So we'll see. We'll find out before the year is out who's going to be in the Hall of Fame for next year. So yeah, if you guys, like I said, if you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, just go on YouTube, go to the Baseball Hall of Fame YouTube channel. It's all right there.
Yeah, and MLB, their official YouTube channel has it as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 coming up here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll have a training camp update for the Bears and the rest of the NFL. Sid's got another list. This time will be top tight ends to watch out for this year. LeBron, busy for LeBron. He helped save the day for the U.S. against South Sudan. We'll talk about that. But he also gets a big honor that he'll be doing on Friday night for the opening ceremonies. What could it be? And of course, we got a new Open champion at Royal Troon. And also, too, of course, we got Old School TV Monday. Lot to do still. Hour number 2, Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. Lakeena McGee Sidney Brown. We go to the gridiron coming up right after this.
No, I don't know, though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I ain't Sidney Brown. Hey, you can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and again the IG.
We are entering hour number 2. We have less than 55 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we discuss the Chicago Bears in the NFL, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can get Sports Zone Chicago live in the living color 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on Roku TV.
Okay, Sid, a little quick trip to the NFL and training camps. Of course, training camps in full swing all over. And it's interesting because, not really much has happened so far. I know Roma Dunze, missed the first couple of games of personal reasons. He's back there now. And depending on how you look, I think at this point you really can't make any assumptions with good or bad. I know that Caleb Lewis made some great throws, but other things not so much. And I know Jalen Johnson is now anointed the defense, the Avengers. So I'm wondering who's who. I guess who's who's Thor. Who's over there is going to be Thor. I think maybe I don't know who the win here, but look, like I said, I'm all for. Look, you can talk all you want, you just got to back it up. And the problem is that the Bears defense, they did get better those till the tail end of the season, but they haven't backed it up consistently. So, what are your super early impressions?
Yeah, Caleb Williams is a rookie. He's going to struggle. He's going to have his bad moments. He's going to have his good moments. But like we said before during this off season, that you hope he gets better each day, and you hope that he's better at the end of the preseason than he is right now. Like you said, with the injuries to Roma Dunze, hopefully he's okay, because he's going to be one of those big weapons that Caleb Williams needs to depend on once the bell rings. But on the flip side, with that defense, Lakeena, even though this Bears team is a young football team, you hope that many of those players will not play up to the camera, since HBO is there filming parts. And you still got to stay focused. Hopefully the air horn will stay focused, being silent, but I digress. But with this young squad, you have to stay focused. You got to perform the task at hand, and the bigger team goal is to try to make the playoffs. But hopefully with some of those young guys, as we talked about, that could be breakout stars on this Hard Knocks series, hopefully they don't worry about the cameras more than they worry about their assignments from their coaching staff.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see how. I think the wide receivers coach, might be one of the breakout stars there, because apparently he kind of has been motivating both the wide receivers and I guess the other positions as well. So we'll see if he becomes a star there. But you can look at through various videos. Some of our buddies that we've had on the show, being Catch, Kalen Sharkey. I think our buddy Chris Bone's also out there as well. I think he's been posting pictures. Our buddy Mark Grody, who now is at Grody Sports. If you guys looking for his new Twitter account,
don't hack it.
Yeah, exactly. Also our buddy Mike Berman from NBC Chicago, he's out there too today. So there's a lot of folks you can go around for videos and pictures and such.
And also too, if for the Chicago Bears regarding Caleb Williams, just overall as a team, this is where you start the build the bonds, you build the friendships, you build the camaraderie, and you build the trust and the cohesion with your teammates, and hopefully without any major injuries, you help develop that chemistry. You hope to develop that timing as well, because we all know coming to the season is going to be a pressure on these guys to make the playoffs, and with head coach Matt Eberflus entering year 3 of his regime. But as far as the players are concerned, you hope to develop that timing, you hope to develop that chemistry, develop the friendships, and just develop these habits that hopefully that could create a winning culture in a winning season to go along with this young football team.
Gonna be interested to see how everything kind of like looks in a few weeks. Once Hard Knocks premieres, and of course they got 9 days. Of course, the Bears do for their first preseason game, so not a lot of time for they have a lot of time to adjust. But now, right now, they kind of try to get things going now. The rest of training camp is a little bit like this. Everybody signed all the picks from the 2024 draft. Amarius Mims, the number 18 pick for Cincy, he was the last guy to sign his rookie deal. He's going to get about an $8 million signing bonus and a fifth year team option. So everything's everyone's all good to go. I know Lamar Jackson's back at practice. I know he missed the weekend with an illness, but yeah, really nothing too dramatic. I know some people saw posted that pass from Pat Mahomes to Xavier Worthy, the rookie, of course, the Xavier Worthy, the rookie from Texas. I know some people are already freaking out about it, but let's remember that this is not the defense probably was not going full on. So anything that it looks good, but let's not make any big assumptions.
Yeah, hopefully we can make adjustment on that damn horn. But regarding the Kansas City Chiefs, they're coming to the season. Many people expect them to 3P, which is very hard to do. And with Patrick Mahomes, as long as he stays healthy, you always have a chance. But you talk about Xavier Worthy, he's being touted as one of the new weapons that Patrick Mahomes is going to count on. And we talked about this last year, Lakeena, all throughout the season. They often struggled to put up points consistently. And I'll mention Travis Kelce again, come up in a few minutes, but even though he's still one of the best tight ends in his era, he's getting older. He's still productive, but he's getting older. So you need some of these young guys to step in and step up. The defense carried them last year. Can they do it again? That's going to be another major question I don't think too many people are talking about.
Yeah, the defense is getting older, so you wonder will age starts to catch up to them, and I think that's going to be like the number one question there for the defensive side. Like you said, no one's really talking about. Yeah, they may have it gotten together on offense, but it's really the defense that's really going to be the key here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and like I said, with the pressure mounting on for Kansas City this year, how will their running game be more consistent? It didn't catch on until the very last half of the season, and of course into the playoffs and the Super Bowl as well. So there's a lot of pressure on the Chiefs. You got to have a lot of things go right. I don't think they can follow the same script like they did a year ago, because they're gonna play 17 regular season games that are going to be Super Bowl games, especially what happened last year. Every team is going to be gunning for them as putting on their best effort trying to knock off the defending champs.
Going to be interested to see what happens there. Now, Jordan Love said he's not going to practice until he gets a new deal, although the Packers are somewhat optimistic. Should fans be a little concerned?
No. If Jordan Love, if we're in the same situation before they start their regular season, which I believe is on that Friday, the September 6th, when they go to Brazil to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. If he doesn't have his contract signed by then yeah, I'll be worried then. But right now, no.
They did sign one of their top defensive tackles, Kenny Clark, to a 3-year extension, $64 million. I think he's going to get about $20 million guaranteed, $30 million guaranteed, I should say. So they did get they do have one of their top defensive players in the fold. So for the next few years, so that's a very solid signing for them. Let's see, anything else? Training camp or anything else really? Cam Akers coming off a torn Achilles. He's joining the Texans. We'll see how he does there in that offense. That's really about it, of course. That's about it, of course. He's of course Daniel Jones said, after to recover from a torn ACL, he said he's ready to go for camp also Kyler Murray as well. I know he's starting to practice, so guys are starting to kind of come back, and of course Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. So anything kind of caught your eye before we go to the top tight ends list?
Not really. Things don't get interesting in training camp until not wishing this on anyone, but anything that breaks in terms of injuries to major stars. Unfortunately, it happens around this time of year. Of course, you see the fisticuffs and players. They're tired of practicing against each other. They want to hit somebody else. So we're waiting for those stories to come out. Like I said, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but unfortunately, this is football. Someone gets hurt, and a major injury can change some things for some teams. So as well as I do, when those things happen, we'll have more to talk about.
Going to be very interesting there as well. As this is Second City Sports on Sports Social, got Lakeena McGee Sidney Brown with you. Okay, Sid, we got another list here. This time, NFL top tight ends for this upcoming season.
Yes, this comes courtesy of our good friends at Pro Football Focus. This article came out in May. I found this late last week, and keep that disclaimer in mind. I'll put it out there why I said that in just a moment, but we won't go through every single person on this list. I know it has 32, but we'll do top 20. Number 20 is Dawson Knox of the Buffalo Bills. I know he's expected to have a big year, especially now with Stephon Diggs being gone. Gerald Everett at number 19 for the Chicago Bears. I find this to be interesting, Lakeena. I know that Cole Kmet is going to be the main target for Caleb Williams in the offense, especially in the red zone. I gave you the side eye at the time where when Gerald Everett was signed for the Bears early in the offseason. But here's the thing about Gerald Everett. According to Pro Football Focus, he's one of the best at making defenders miss, and he's racked up 45 forced missed tackles over the past 3 years.
Could be an extra tight end. I mean, look, you still got Mercedes Lewis out there as well at his age, so
why?
Exactly. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Everett could perhaps maybe get a couple of touches. I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be enough balls for Caleb to throw to, but that'll be interesting. They got him there at 19, but okay.
Number 18, Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. Drake May is going to have one of his new targets to throw to potentially. We'll see what happens there. Number 17 was Darren Waller of the New York Giants. Of course, he retired this offseason. Of course, he had a couple of things happen off the field. We won't get into that. Number 16, Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. Now with Stephon Diggs there at the hip of now second-year quarterback C.J. Stroud. Dalton Schultz could have some more targets open up for him.
I am fascinated by that. I mean, of course, Diggs is going to be the number one guy. And, of course, he's going to get double teamed. So he might have a shot perhaps maybe get some big numbers this year.
And number 15, Pat Fryermuth, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, the tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And hopefully with Russell Wilson healthy potentially for a whole year, or is it Justin Fields or somebody else? Pat is expected to have a big year. Pat had a good rookie year 2 years ago, but he's expected to have a breakthrough year in 2024 after suffering through various injuries last year.
I like that pick. Yeah, I think he might be one of those guys that might have a breakthrough season.
All right, going to number 14, tight end. This is a tight ends to watch out for this upcoming 2024 season. Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders. We all know what he did in college at the University of Georgia. Of course, he's entering his rookie season. Who's going to be the quarterback that's going to throw him the ball? Is it Aiden O'Connell or somebody else? That's the $1 million question here. But I think Brock Bowers, if he can get some consistent quarterback play, whoever it is, I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of buzz about him, going into camp for for Vegas. So that's gonna be interesting to see if like you said, who's gonna throw him the ball. I mean, I definitely see him perhaps maybe making a breakthrough, getting that, maybe challenging for offensive rookie of the year. But like you said, I mean, who's gonna throw him the ball?
Yep. Number 13, Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills. He racked up 777 yards last year and averaged 1.51 yards per route on his 101 targets.
Should be interesting though, with the new offense. Of course, Diggs is gone. The Titans are probably going to be the stars of the show, I think.
You will see a Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott follows that gameplay, because remember, after they gave Ken Dorsey the boot last year. Buffalo had more balance to the offense with running and first and passes. So we'll see what happens for this upcoming season. Number 12, Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys.
Didn't hear his name too much last year, so I'm wondering, like, okay, could maybe Dak, with, especially now he's going to be playing for a contract essentially, so maybe we'll see Ferguson, you're hearing Ferguson's name more this year.
Yep, we'll see what happens there. Number 11, Cole Kmet of the Chicago Bears. As I said a couple years ago, as you well know, I think that the Bears have a Pro Bowl type tight end. Cole Kmet has improved every year he's been in the Bears uniform. Of course, we expect big things for him this year, even though you have a rookie quarterback named Caleb Williams. Of course, we talked about Gerald Everett early. I think Cole Kmet is going to have a big year this year. If he gets close to 10 touchdowns, I think that's going to be an outstanding year for him. And I think the Bears will do some big things on offense. If Cole Kmet comes to close to 10 touchdowns, I think you can slot him for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, with the rookie quarterback. I mean, like I said, that's like I said, a lot of these guys are going to be fine, but there's going to be a lot of question marks with their quarterback.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. City Lakeena here with you, talking NFL, the top tight ends to watch for in the NFL for this upcoming 2024 season. This is courtesy of Pro Football Focus. Now we enter in the top 10. Checking in at number 10, Everett Ingram from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He topped 890 yards in 2 straight seasons. Of course, with the injury to Trevor Lawrence last year toward the end of the season, Evan Ingram's impact was impacted just like everybody else. But when Trevor Lawrence was healthy early in the year, Mr. Ingram was one of the best tight ends in the National Football League.
Like I said, it's really going to depend on Trevor Lawrence and how he does. I mean, like I said, he had his struggles late in the season. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think he definitely could, Ingram could definitely get a pro, probably one of the better tight ends out there in the league right now.
Yeah. Checking in at number 9, David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. Now he'll have Deshaun Watson back for a full season after playing with 4 quarterbacks last year, including Joe Flacco.
That's going to be interesting to see what he does, with the full season with Deshaun Watson.
Checking in at number 8, Mr. Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals. After a slow start to the season last year, McBride went on a tear, averaging 1.94 yards per route after week 8. And with Kyler Murray back for a full year, it looks like outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., the rookie wide receiver, Trey McBride has become one of Kyler Murray's top targets.
Yeah, he really likes him. So, and now that he's back, I expect big things from him this year.
You'll like this one. Check it in at number 7. Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. We said it last year. Yeah, hashtag free Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has been one of the, I want to say, potential top targets in the league. But, injuries has slowed him down. And, of course, with the lack of consistency at the quarterback spot. Now he has Kirk Cousins at his right hip. He is expected to have a big year. He had over 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie year a couple years ago, but he's been slowed down by injuries and the lack of consistency lack of consistent quarterback play over the last couple years. So with Kirk Cousins there now, Kyle Pitts provides that he stays healthy. He's expected to have a big year, which I expect as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to be seeing Kyle Pitts more and more this year.
Check it in at number 6, Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles.
We'll see. I mean, they had their struggles late in the year. We're talking about Philadelphia, especially in that playoffs. Didn't really hear his name much during that playoff game against the Bucs. So I'm looking forward to something big. You got, of course, Kellen Moore taking over as OC in Philadelphia. So I'm expecting, and he likes tight ends. So we'll see Mr. Goddard a little bit more.
Yep. Check it in at number 5. I love this pick. Sam Laporta now entering year number 2 for the Detroit Lions. He had 10 touchdowns during his rookie year last year. He helped out with that Lions offense with Jared Goff. That's why Jared Goff had a successful year last year. We talked about the running game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and of course you talk about their big wide receiver who got paid this offseason in Amon St. Brown. But Sam Laporta is that big target that helped them down the middle last year, especially in the red zone.
Going to be interesting to see will Dan Campbell make any adjustments, to Laporta, because the guy's going to be gunning for him now. So I think Laporta's still going to be okay though.
Yep. And remember, he got hurt at the end of last year, but played a pivotal role in the playoffs last year for the men in blue and silver. Checking in at number 4, speaking of Detroit, the former Detroit Lion, now Minnesota Vikings tight end, T.J. Hockenson.
TJ and JJ, of course, that'll be an interesting. JJ to TJ might be an interesting town, or maybe Darnold to TJ. So we'll see. There in Minnesota.
Yep, checking in at number 3, Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, he suffered various injuries last year, and even though Baltimore had a very good year, made it to the AFC Championship game, you could tell that Lamar Jackson, even though he won MVP last year, you could tell at various times through the second half of the season he missed Mark Andrews. Of course, Andrews is the top target for Mr. Lamar Jackson. Provided that both of them stay healthy, I expect Andrews to have a bounce back year.
I agree. I think, once he got hurt, I think you can tell a little bit of that oomph was missing for the Ravens, especially during that playoff game against the Chiefs. So I definitely think I think that's the thing I think people aren't talking about, him not being there. I think they would have won had Andrews been there. I'm sticking by that. I know a lot of Chiefs fans might not like what I said, but yeah, he's really the guy that kind of keeps the chains moving for the Ravens. So, I expect big things from him, especially if he can stay healthy.
Number 2, Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, of course, number 1 is George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, these two guys faced each other in the Super Bowl last year. Of course, Travis Kelce has 3 championship rings, while George Kittle is still trying to search for ring number 1. I do not have a problem with this list, Lakeena. I think Pro Football Focus were on point with this one. I'll give you some of the other names that they mentioned in just a moment. What do you think about Kittle and Kelce?
Yeah, remember Kelsey he's like 34 now, so or about to be 34. So yeah, you gotta think things are starting to kind of wear and tear on them. Even he admits that. I think Kittle, we didn't hear his name that much, in the Super Bowl. So, maybe he's gonna use his movies. He's still young. He's like 28, so he's still young enough still, but. Time's starting to kind of run out. The years can climb up quick. So I have no problem with Kittle being number 1.
Okay, players, tight ends outside the top 20. Hayden Hurst, now of the Los Angeles Chargers. Of course, Hayden Hurst has bounced around a little bit. He was with Atlanta the last couple of years. He was with Baltimore a few years ago. Now he's going to be a new tight end target for Justin Herbert. Zach Ertz, who's bounced around a little bit now, he's going to play with the Washington Commanders this year. Noah Fant of the Seattle Seahawks at number 27. Number 26, he was a breakout star last year. We mentioned with the injury with Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely of Baltimore.
Yeah, I really like him too. So yeah, though those two could stay healthy, that could be a nice little tandem there.
And check out this name, especially for those of you in the NFC North. He had a very good year last year for the Green Bay tight end Luke Musgrave. He's going to be another big target for Jordan Love.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think that might be another name. He's kind of like people call him like the new Jordy Nelson. So we'll see if that's the case coming up.
Yeah, but of course you have, as I mentioned, Noah Fant now of the Seattle Seahawks, and of course Tyler Higbee of the Los Angeles Rams. We'll see if Matthew Stafford stays healthy. Tyler Higbee could become another big target for Stafford in that offense.
Good list by the folks at Pro Football Focus. So we'll see what happens there as the season comes up. Of course, like you said, some of these guys, injuries kind of stop them. So it'll be interesting to see if fully healthy these guys, how they look.
Yeah, and going back to the NFC North, Lakeena, you can make an argument that the group of tight ends with Luke Musgrave, Cole Kmet, and Sam Laporta. And of course, T.J. Hockenson, they could be the best tight end group in the division in the National Football League.
Yeah, I agree. I think this might be a little bit of a battle there, especially depending on how their teams do.
Yeah, so that's something we can watch out for this upcoming 2024 season.
Good. Like I said, good list by Pro Football Focus. Really, we'll see how those guys shape up. Things shake out, I should say, this upcoming season. Now, of course, LeBron, saves the day for the U.S. against South Sudan. Also, too, he gets a pretty big honor coming up in the Olympic opening ceremonies. Of course, Xander Schauffele does something that hasn't been done in years at the Open Championship. And of course, we got old sports media news and old school TV Monday. Lakeena McGee, Sidney Brown, lots of fun to have here. Coming up in the last half hour of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We go to Olympics coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. We're live and in living color on this Monday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and IG.
This is our last break of the show for today. So if you have any last minute questions or comments for us as we go into our grab bag segment, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, so let's go to the hardwood Olympic style. That is, all right. So the U.S. was a 42.5-point favorite against South Sudan, a country that did not exist until 2011, and of course, not. I mean, look, okay. I'll look. I know some people are already freaking out or pissed, but okay. Let's review. Who's the president of South Sudan? He's a former bull.
I'm not on Google, so I'm gonna just take a wild guess. Lou Aldang.
Ding, 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 ding. Very good.
Hey!
Nicely done. Yes, and nicely done. And he was the one that was kind of like the brainchild, of course, some of the articles that came out over the weekend. Some of the players that are on that squad. I mean, Derrick Jones, of course, if you guys remember that name, he played for the Bulls for a little bit. Thought Mocker, who if you all you college hoops fans remember that name, of course, he played for Bruce Pearl at Auburn a few years ago. He's actually kind of one of the reasons why Auburn became the consistent top 10, top 15 power that they are now, and a few other hoopers. So, do I think that maybe that people underestimated South Sudan? Sure. Do I also think that maybe the U.S. I know Brian Windhorst said that they didn't get to the arena in London until about like an hour before it took off because of London traffic and some other stuff that kind of went out. So it was sort of like a perfect storm for the United States. You can kind of tell it like the little lackadaisical against them, but I'm not worried about it. Like every U.S. squad has a wake up call, and this was there. So people were freaking out at probably because they didn't get the over like they thought they were going to against South Sudan. RELAX, relax, folks.
Yeah, yes, you mentioned. I didn't get a chance to see the game in entirety. I just saw the highlights. Yes, excuse me. The U.S. did take the South Sudan for granted, but you saw some of the big stars for the USA step up. Anthony Davis, of course, LeBron James hit the great game winner. Number 2, Lakeena, is an exhibition, folks. It's an exhibition. This happened a week or so from now. Then this will be something bigger, but this is an exhibition. This is a time you work out the kinks. You had Coach Steve Kerr, as we talked about last week. You work out your rotation for the starting lineup, matchups against these different countries, and then you go on from there.
JT Thor actually hit that 3-pointer with 20 seconds left to kind of like keep them in it. So that was huge for South Sudan. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not worried. Like I said, I mean, like they actually do play again. I think on Sunday, I believe. So it's going to be interesting to see. Well, I'm sure they'll have a different mindset of the U.S. is. LeBron himself even said that he likes the close games. So, okay, I don't know if we should be saying that out loud, LeBron, but I do appreciate that. Like this is his 5th Olympics, so he's not. This is his first rodeo. So, like I said, we'll see. Like, if this happened like next week, then okay, yeah. Oh my God, but relax, folks, relax.
Yep. And we'll see what happens there. Breaking news in the NBA in terms of free agent signings. Spencer Dinwiddie will sign a 1-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks. So, of course, he was traded to the Lakers last year. Got little player time, not as much as he thought. Of course, he was one-time Chicago Bull back a few years ago. But Spencer Dinwiddie will sign a 1-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks.
Could be add more depth off the bench for the Mavs, so I'm definitely help out a lot there in that front. But yeah, that's a nice signing for the Mavs. So we'll see what happens if they can kind of get it going here. I like Dinwiddie.
Yeah. Same with the hardwood. The WNBA All-Star Game took place last Saturday night in Phoenix, Arizona, with Team WNBA winning 117-109 over Team USA. Of course, Breanna Stewart led Team USA with 31 points. Asia Wilson added 22 points. But for the WNBA All-Stars, Caitlin Clark had 10 assists. Lakeena, I was watching a couple of these quote-unquote debate shows today. There are some folks that are still making an argument that Caitlin Clark should be on the USA women's basketball team. She said herself she needs a break. And with the already stacked roster over there with USA women's basketball, she's not going to get the playing time you guys want her to get. Stop it. Leave her alone.
Fine. Okay, since they want to take somebody off, then tell them to take one of those folks off. Then if that's they're still helping on it. Like I said, she said herself. She reiterated after the All-Star game. It was really cool. Her and Angel Reese be on the same team. By the way, that was actually pretty interesting. That was kind of, I don't want to say jarring, but it was definitely interesting. She even said herself, "Hey, look, I'm good with the month break. Hey, I'm good. I can recharge, rest, spend time with her family and her boyfriend, and just not have to think about that basketball for a few weeks." She actually appreciates that.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it with our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manica. Happy birthday to her, by the way. She celebrated last week. Yeah. We talked about it with her over a month ago, I believe. And it's been a whirlwind, too, for her playing highly intense games in college in Iowa. Immediately coming into the WNBA without much rest and then jumping in playing with the Indiana Fever. She needs this rest. I know she didn't participate in any of the festivities last Friday with a 3-point shootout in the skills competition, but she was sitting on the sidelines. But she says she needed a break, and it's definitely going to help her in the long run because I think it's going to be between them and the sky for that last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference once the season begins in August 15th.
Yeah, so, and I think they do play in that same week, I believe. I think that's the last time they're going to play this year. Thank goodness. So we'll see if that's going might be the pivotal. But yeah, Alicia Gray, who's from the Atlanta Dream, she actually won the three-point contest and the skills challenge. Of course, she got 25 grand for each, but she gets a $500,000 grant from Aflac. So it's going to be kind of like a 401ks mutual fund. So she's got a nice little check there as well. Want to give her a shout out. Going back to the Olympics for a second, Sid. LeBron James gets a big honor. He was voted, Steph Curry. We find out that Steph Curry actually nominated him to be the flag bearer for the U.S. Olympic team coming up Friday nights. It's actually interesting because it's actually the first time that a U.S. men's basketball player will get that honor, which is kind of crazy because I would thought, okay, no. You would think that maybe Magic would have done, of course, in 92, but I think it was a fencer who ended up, I think it was a judo player that did that. You don't think Carmelo in his last Olympics would have gotten that honor? That wasn't the case. Dirk Nowitzki actually, carried the flag for his home country of Germany back in 2008. He was actually the first basketball player, male or female, so that's kind of like started the trend there. And so yeah, very interesting. But that was a really cool moment there. And I know LeBron's going to do a great job.
Yeah, so LeBron James becomes the third basketball player to carry the flag. The other two players were Sue Bird and Dawn Staley. So LeBron James is in great company there. Of course, LeBron James was still one of them, however you feel about him, he's still one of the most popular athletes, not only in the United States, but in the world as well. So it's a great honor for him and his family. I saw that video earlier today on social media. So LeBron James is going to do the United States proud. Of course, this is his last Olympics as well. So, he's going to go out with a bang with the gold medal. So he can add this accomplishment as well to what he's going to do at the Olympics coming up later on this week.
Well, the cool thing about it is that all the countries are coming down from the River Seine. They're going to be on boats. So the only thing LeBron has to do is just stand there and, make sure carry the flag and make sure it doesn't fall.
Don't drop it.
Yeah, let's say exactly. He doesn't have to walk or anything like that. They're going to be, coming on boats. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. All the countries come in different boats and ships and stuff. That's going to be really cool to see. But yeah, that's the one thing he has to worry with. He says, okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Any other? I think we can probably get into more of this on Friday, but I'll set it up a little bit here. Outside the track and field and the men's and women's gymnastics, of course, we'll cover the basketball, both of the women's and men's here on Second City Sports. Any other Olympic events that you're looking forward to watching over the next 2 weeks?
Swimming. One of my favorite events. Swimming. I like the equestrian, oddly enough, because you don't really get to see equestrian very much, only every 4 years. I love volleyball, both the indoor and the beach volleyball. I know the U.S. has a big favors about the men's and the women's beach volleyball. Judo is really interesting. Boxing, especially since the U.S. hasn't done very well at boxing in the last few years, both the men and the women. I think they only won 1 or 2 medals in the last couple of Olympics. I know they only got 1 medal last time in Tokyo. But it's interesting. Handball, ping pong, usually some of the fringe sports that you usually get to see very often are usually the ones I actually watch. So and depending on your satellite or cable or stream provider, you're going to be able to watch a lot of those sports in the various NBC networks, and also of course it's going to stream on Peacock. So you'll and YouTube as well. So you'll find places to watch it.
What's that sport, Lakeena, where you I'm not going to say scrubbing the floor, but you move it. This I can see it.
Curling.
Curling. Thank you. That's a
Winter Olympic sport, actually.
Okay. I wish they had with the summer, but that's a whole nother issue. But I kind of like that sport. I remember watching it the last couple of times. You had to scrub the floor and, and push it straight down the lane. Who could do the fastest? I really like that. Too bad it's not part of the summer, but David. But I really grown to like it a little bit.
You got a couple of years in China before you had to worry about that. Well, but also too, of course, breakdance is going to make its debut in the
That's
Olympics as
right.
well.
That's right.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that should be fun in the show. I think it's going to be on the streets of like near the Eiffel Tower, the competition outdoors, I believe. So that'll be cool. Also, remember, surfing is going to be in Tahiti, which is on, if they don't have surfing there in Paris, but it's going to be in the French island of Tahiti. So they're going to be in a whole different part of the world. So, if you know somebody that's going to be competing, you're going to have to get up a little early because it's all in the southern hemisphere. Tahiti is.
Back to the break dance. I think we talked about this over a year ago when it was announced that it was going to be an Olympic competition. For us in the United States, whoever's alive now, and there's a few of them that's still alive, can we bring back those Soul Train dancers from the early 80s? Show them a thing or two. They'll save us.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Get a couple of those guys that did that back in the day on the Soul Train line. Of course, that was a really big thing back in the mid 80s to late 80s on Soul Train. So, yeah, you get a couple of those guys do commentating because I forgot who's going to be commentating the breakdancing. But, yeah, that'll be interesting to get those guys to commentate. That'll be funny.
Yeah, bringing out Lusky Carr, a.k.a. the light-skinned brother from back in the day, the poser who stood in front of the stage. I would like to see him commentate some of those dances.
That'd be hilarious, too, if he would do that. He doesn't hold back. So
yeah, I know he's an accomplished actor. Yeah, I know he's an accomplished actor now in Hollywood, but yeah, NBC should bring him to commentate some of those dances.
Yeah, that should be hilarious. Of course, they got Snoop Dogg, putting a spin on the Olympic theme. That'll be interesting. You guys haven't seen it already on their Twitter X account. So yeah, should be fun. But yeah, like I said, we'll talk more about the Olympics coming up with our girl Christine on Friday. As I can see, sports on Sports. We've got Lakeena McGee Sidney Brown with you. Going off to, we're going a little bit further north there from Paris. We're going to Scotland at Royal Troon, where Xander Schauffele wins his second major of the year, winning the Open in the 152nd Open Championship yesterday. His second major in about a month. Of course, he won the PGA Championship in June, and it's interesting because he's the first American guy to win two majors in 1 year since Koepka did it back in 2018. Also, too, this is the first time since 1982 that the U.S. has swept all the majors. That has not happened in like 42 years. So, of course, Schauffele winning twice. Of course, Scotty Scheffler winning the Masters. Of course, Bryce DeChambeau won the U.S. Open last month. So, I think Schauffele. I remember there was a time when people thought that he was the best guy to not win a major. Now he's got two in less than 2 months. So, go figure with that one.
How old is the winner? The one who won yesterday?
30. He's just 30 or 31, I think. I think he's 31. Yeah.
Because the reason why I asked, because as I asked the question all the time, as we talked about on the show, is he the new face for golf? I know Tiger is winding down the hill, unfortunately, because of age and mostly because of injuries. But is the new winner, the new face of golf? Could he be?
Could he? I mean, look, he's got the game. He's very soft spoken. So I don't know if you're going to get a lot out of him. But like I said, if you heard it yesterday after winning the champion golfer, as they call it, he's definitely kind of has that that funny personality, that funny smile. So I mean that he could be a guy that can you can sell stuff. He's been on Ryder Cup teams. He's going to be going to the Olympics. I think the golf does start to the week after next, so got a little bit of time there. But I think Xander's one of those guys where I think he's definitely he and Scheffler's game are very similar, but he's got more of the personality than Scotty does.
Okay, and what's the next major event for golf?
Well, they're done for this year, so it's not going to be until April for the Masters.
April, okay, all right. So it's a long layoff for the golfers. You're listening to Second City Sports Zone Chicago. See Lakeena here with you. I know, Lakeena, we're about, I think, if my math is correct, 5 weeks away now from the start of college football. I know this is your favorite time of the year. You know me, I cannot stand college football. I'll watch that one game of the week and that's it. The other games I'll just use as a nap if I feel like it. But the CW, which did a great job last year, of course, they picked up the college football coverage from the now defunct Bally Sports, in which they're still going through that bankruptcy trouble. But they got high ratings last year because they picked up the ACC, and it looks like now they'll pick up that up in the what was unfortunately left of the Pac-12 for this year, and they have some new announcers and crews, and we'll give it to you right now. This was announced over the weekend. Of course, JB Long, he's the radio voice of Los Angeles Rams. He'll be joined by Michael Bumpus and Cameron Irvin as in Heidi Watney, of course, formerly at MLB Network. She does Apple TV Plus on Fridays for Major League Baseball. Of course, other names that were announced for the CW College Football TV crew for this upcoming year. Ted Robinson, the former radio voice of the San Francisco 49ers. He'll be joined by Chase Daniel and Nigel Burton on the sidelines. Chase Daniel, of course, the former NFL quarterback. Of course, he was with the Bears during 2018 and 2020. Former backup. He's really been doing well on his podcast, breaking down quarterback tapes of the NFL. So I think he's going to do a good job for college football coming up for the CW.
I've seen him in various spots. I think he did some little work for CBS, their sports headquarters, their streaming service, for the last couple of years. In addition to doing his podcast, he's very smart, very knowledgeable. So I have no doubt he's going to kill it doing game analysis work. I'm glad that the CW actually had the mindset to kind of like bring in seasonal people both in front of and behind the camera. So I think that should definitely give him a little bit more cohesiveness, a little bit more like it'll feel like more of a college football experience watching.
And the number one crew for the CW college football in the CW for this year will feature Tom Brenneman. Yes, the former Cubs announcer for back in the day. And what he said a few years ago, we won't get into that, but he's going to get his second chance. He'll be joined by Max Brown and Trevor Scales, who does a great job with the Atlanta Braves studio host for Bally Sports Southeast. So Tom Brenneman is getting his second chance. Looks like he's been getting a lot of support. Of course, he's still going to have some naysayers here and there, but Tom Brenneman is going to get his second chance. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, he showed contrition. Look, he's been out of the spotlight for 3 or 4 years now. And I think look, everyone deserves a second chance. Like, we've all said stupid things, and I think if he show and he has done it, he's apologetic. I think he's been going to groups with LGBTQ plus folks, to kind of work with them and be more tolerant. So that helps a little bit. And I think a couple of folks there have kind of said, they'll give him a second chance. And of course, the irony of this is the fact that Nick Castellanos, insert your jokes here, hit a monster home run in the, and I'm just like, yeah, that of course he did. Of course, he hit that big home run. Of course, if you guys remember, he hit a monster home run, of course, whatever, something, Brenneman says something. So as soon as that news came out yesterday, of course, he hit that monster home run. So, go figure, maybe. He might be one of the few people that might be happy he's back. But, I think, look, he's a great announcer. He's still young enough to kind of, come in. And like I said, he's been able to kind of work on himself. So I'll give him another shot.
All right. And speaking of potentially getting another shot, which we kind of knew this wasn't going to happen, Stephen A. Smith on his podcast, courtesy of Odyssey. Of course, the Skip Bayless was let go by FS1 last week. Of course, his last show will be at the end of the summer. And someone asked Stephen A. Smith to address the issue of the the rumors were starting now as will Skip Bayless go back to ESPN? And Stephen A. Smith said no.
Well, yeah, I think he was ESPN. I think some people by ESPN even said that wasn't going to happen. So, like I said, he look, Skip has made millions of dollars. So, let him go about his business and go to Dallas and just or I think he said that he wants to go to Florida too. I mean, look, go to one of those states and just retire.
Yeah. Any other Nuggets tidbits or concerns before we continue?
Well, Ernie Johnson has announced that he is taking a leave of absence from the baseball coverage on TNT and TBS. He didn't really say why. He didn't say it was physical or maybe it was just mental. Must take a mental break, but he is taking a leave of absence. Of course, with all the stuff going on with Warner Bros. Discovery and whether or not they're going to match that Amazon television contract. I mean, I think his future's up in the air. So I guess he probably wants to get away from that for a little bit. But You can probably make your own conclusions, but I think he probably just wants to kind of get away from that for right now, and I guess I blame him.
Yeah, I know Greg Amsinger will take his place for the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the year. Of course, he's the host
Love
of
him.
MLB Tonight on MLB Network. He does a heck of a job with Harold Reynolds
Yes.
and Dan Plesac. So Turner Sports will be in good hands. Now, I wanted to ask you about did you check out last Saturday night's Cubs Diamondbacks broadcast? And what do you think about the announcing tandem of one Mr. Jason Benetti and AJ Przinsky?
Very interesting, to say the least, right? I mean, of course,
Yeah.
both are very good at jokes and being so snarky. So you gotta think having two snarky people like in the same room that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. But in this case, they kind of balance each other out. So one would say something snarky and the couple is there, and the other guy would say something snarky. So I actually do like their tandem. I like I like the little banter. So I really like it, and I wish we could have had that for the White Sox. But again, I digress. But yeah, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, here's the thing about those two. I know it's usually Adam Amin and AJ Przinsky, but Jason Benetti can just about work with anyone, and we know what great work he did with the White Sox for 8 seasons. And we said this since 2020 is all about how you present the product, and especially with baseball, even though we have the pitch clock and you don't have as much dead space as you once did, but you got to keep the fans engaged. You had to be the it person. Not everyone has that, but you got to keep the fan engaged and interested. And I think both those guys do that.
Yeah, they really do, and I really like how I wish the Cubs would have won that game, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean that would have been nice, but yeah, they kept me entertained, even though the score was didn't reflect that.
Any other since we're on the subject of baseball, real quick, and yours surely watch a lot of out of market baseball, so especially getting the games for free, thanks to being a season ticket holder. But do you have any other crews that you like or dislike, or just sticking to baseball here outside of Chicago?
Outside of Chicago, I know they had that list. I know the Mets tandem. I know they got a lot of high marks. I've actually listened to them. I think they're really good.
Oh, Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and Ron
yeah.
Darling. Yeah.
Yep. They're pretty funny. I like of course, me. I like I watch a lot of Mariners games.
Dave Sims, yes.
Yes, love him. Who else? Who else at the top of my head do I really like? Oh, the Phillies tandem. I really like them as well.
Tom McCarthy and Tony Amaro Jr. this year.
Yep.
Sometimes John Kruk, but
yeah, but Krukey's there too sometimes. Most of the time as well. I think they split. I think more on the road. I think he does more. Krukey kind of does most of the home games for the Phillies. I think that's it. I mean, Houston has a pretty decent tandem as well. Trying to think who else.
Yeah, Todd Callis, his father was the late great Harry Callis of Philadelphia and Phillies and NFL Films, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Blum, former World Series champion with the White Sox, and he got his career started with Houston, so he's been there for a long time.
Yep. I think that's about it. I mean, St. Louis, as much as it pains me, I think St. Louis got a pretty solid television tandem as well. Yeah, those are probably all the ones that I would say at the top of my head.
Okay.
Oh, and Baltimore too. Baltimore too, of course.
Oh yeah, with Mr. Kevin Brown. No, not the former pitcher. Yeah, free Kevin Brown.
yes.
Remember that story from last year? But now coming in, back home to the teams in town. Like I said, John Schriffen, he's doing a professional job. I know he's trying out some things because the White Sox are terrible. So, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to give him a pass, but I'm not going to totally slam him as well because he's being put in a tough position. So, and he's never, as we talked about, he's never done one specific team before, and he's been doing national stuff for basically his whole career. So, Steve Stone has really helped him out. So, like I said, I wish John will succeed here. I think he will get better. I know I met him twice, so I try not to put that inside my critique here. But I think he's going to get better. Hopefully, the White Sox get better. But that's another show for another time. But on the north side, Lakeena, I like John Shammy. I know Jim DeShays. I know some people call him boring and all that stuff. I don't expect him to be Chris Rock to bust out jokes every 2 seconds, but I know he's been getting opportunities for the last couple of years on TV, which I like. But the radio announcer, Pat Hughes, of course, he does some of the Sunday games, both home and away for Marquee, as John Shammy, I think, does Sunday Night Baseball on the radio side. But I really grown to like Pat Hughes on television. I'm not going to say he's better suited for television than radio because he's been doing radio for most of his career, but he doesn't sound too bad on television. I know he did the game with Joe Girardi yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm thankful they got a Cubs win for that too, for those two. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I've always liked Pat Hughes. Like I grew up listening to Pat Hughes, so I really like the fact that he is doing more television. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I think his voice is perfect for the radio, but yeah, I think television suits him too.
Yeah, and of course, the sideline reporters for the Cubs, Elise Maneker and Taylor McGregor, both do a great job. But I think bigger things are ahead for Taylor. This is just me speaking. I don't know anything or anything along that line, but I know she's been getting a lot of opportunities nationally, especially with the MLB Network for the last couple of years. Of course, she does college football, as you well know, for ESPN ESPN for the sidelines over the last few years. So I think bigger things are ahead for her, and hopefully, Marquee Sports Network will give Miss Elise Maneker more opportunities over there, because I know she does some stuff with the Iowa Cubs as well, which some of the games are being broadcast on Marquee. But I hope they give her a bigger role.
Yeah, I think she's really could be like where Jessica Mendoza is now. I think she can do softball. Of course, like I said, she was a great softball player at Cornell and Aurora. She actually is in the Sports Hall of Fame. So yeah, I think she definitely has the chops for that. Like, hopefully they are going to give her more opportunities. Just not just to do for the dugout side, but also to do more games.
Yeah, I know she did a great job with Beth Mowins and Taylor McGregor a couple weeks ago against the Angels with the Cubs' first all-female television broadcast. All right, Lakeena, this is Second City Sports on Chicago. It's that time around this time every Monday to put a smile on your face to begin your work week. We do a little segment called Old School TV Monday, and this Monday I was actually supposed to do this show last week, but with the death of Shannon Doherty and some of the other celebrities, I had to push this back a week. But today we will salute the 1990 TV sitcom that aired on both NBC and the formerly network known as UPN. In the House. That's right. In the House was an American sitcom starring rapper LL Cool J, Debbie Allen, former Soul Train dancer, by the way, Maya Campbell, Jeffrey Wood, Alfonso Roberto after Carlton, and Kim Wayans after Living Color. The series aired for 2 seasons on NBC from April of 95 until May of 1996, which after it was canceled due to low ratings. UPN quickly picked up the show, where it aired for an additional 2 seasons. UPN canceled the series in May of 1998. The series ran their first run syndication for a 5th and final season, which ended on August 11th, 1999. The synopsis for the series was Marion Hill, played by LL Cool J, was a former professional football player. Because of his financial situation, Marion was forced to rent out his house to a newly divorced single mother, played by Debbie Allen, and her 2 children, played by Maya Campbell and Jeffrey Wood. After the second season, the series was retooled, becoming more adult-oriented. Jackie and Austin both moved back east, while Tiffany stayed with Marion to finish high school. Joining the cast for the 3rd season was Alfonso Roberto as Dr. Max Stanton and Kim Wayans as Tanya Harris. Both Maxwell and Tanya helped Marion manage the Los Angeles sports clinic he owned, and then Tanya left for the WNBA after the 4th season, and Tiffany left after only 2 episodes in season 5.
Yeah, I think there was only 7 episodes in that last season, so yeah, they kind of
6
had
to be exact.
6. Oh well, 6. I was one. I was like, I gave him an extra one, but yeah, I mean that was kind of like to hurry up and wrap things up. I actually don't watch those last 6 episodes because in my head that when Maxwell and I forgot Mercedes, played by former Saved by the Bell star Lark Voorhees, when they got married, to me that was the end of the show.
That's right. Yep.
Yep. That was the end of the show for me. So I don't even bother watching those 6 episodes. It's interesting because, like you said, Sid, I mean, the original concept was kind of like, was supposed to be like a family type sitcom. Of course, you had LL in his first big role on doing a sitcom, no less. Of course, Debbie Allen. They had a nice little dynamic. I'm glad they didn't go there and try to make it like the romantic. They kind of kept it like, the friendship, tenant, that kind of landlord, that kind of thing. after the first 2 seasons. It had its moments. I mean, remember, Kim Wayne's character Tonya was actually introduced, and she was kind of like this crazy, like, stalkery type. Now,
Yeah.
thankfully, when they retooled it, they made her a little bit more. She still says some silly and crazy things, but they did kind of clean her up a little bit. They made her a little bit more demure and a little more charismatic, and she did of course the root of the characters were still good, but they had to clean her up a little bit because they wanted to make her like a viable character, weekly. And when UPN picked the series up after it was canceled on NBC, I get why they wanted more adult. They want to do more adult situational, sitcom-y kind of stuff. So it made sense that they wrote out Debbie's character and Jeffrey's character Austin. Of course, Tiffany was like going through her senior year, I think, in high school. So it kind of made sense, to keep her there to kind of be sort of like, not necessarily like taking care of Mary taking care of her per se, but to kind of like keep her in check, if you will. Of course, Maxwell to me, I don't know about you, but I think to me Maxwell was kind of like Carlton if the Fresh Prince had stayed on a little bit longer.
Yeah. You could tell that this is just for me as an outsider. I know it's hard for actors, more tougher now than back then, but it was just more of that show giving him an immediate role, trying to capture that momentum after Fresh Prince, because you could tell, like I said, we'll do Fresh Prince deeper dive of that show down the road, but you could tell that In the House hired him just to keep the momentum, keep his face in front of the cameras. Like, he did well for what the situation called for, but they was trying to catch the momentum of what he did on Fresh Prince. But it served well for him for those 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, it was more adult, like broad, more physical comedy, and so like I said, more adult themes. Of course, my favorite episode was the Halloween episode where Maxwell insulted a date of his who actually was a witch, and of course, of course, you remember. I'm sure you don't remember that episode, right, Sid? When they had like she thought she had put a curse. He thought she had put a curse on him, and all the weird things that started happening. Of course, that wasn't the case, but it was pretty funny. Putting the salt, doing the hop on it. That was probably one of the funnier ones. And of course, some interesting guest stars too. A lot of Hall of Famers. Of course, late great Kobe Bryant appeared. Derek Fisher appeared in an episode. I forgot who else. Damn it, I forgot who else played. Oh, that was probably one of the more famous episodes that. But yeah, I think some top football and basketball players were on those episodes. That's what kind of kept the show kind of going and the flow of it, because the sports clinic. I mean, you got to have athletes, so it kind of made sense. But yeah, the show was actually pretty solid for what it was. I know that I know it's on HBO Max, I should say. It's streaming there, and I think it's streaming on other places as well. I think Pluto TV. I think they got like a black. I think I said before they had like a black comedy block. I think I've seen it on there in recent months, so it is on there. Of course, all the episodes are on YouTube as well.
And some of your notable actors that had reoccurring roles on the show: John Amos, aka James Evans from Good Times, Coach Sam Wilson in the first 3 seasons. Of course, you mentioned Lark Voorhees, aka Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell. She was Mercedes Langford in the last 2 seasons. Kenya Moore before the USA pageants as Mary Bitchford in season 5. Of course, Mel Jackson from the Soul Food movie fame as Graham in season 4. Miss Paulette Braxton as Natalie Davis in season 4, and Michael Warren as Milton Warren in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, so some of the like I said, Kobe Bryant, of course, Derek Fisher, were some of the athletes' names that were on there as well. But yeah, I thought it was a good show for what it was. Like I said, it wasn't. I think, like I said, I think the show really took off once it kind of changed the format of it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It actually kind of worked. I think it was one of the highest rated shows on UPN after only Moesha for like those couple of seasons. It kind of starting to show its age a little bit, so you can kind of tell that it wasn't really. You didn't really know what direction they were going to go because there was really nowhere to go. I mean, Tiffany, is in college now, and other things, were happening. So yeah, I think In the House was like perfect for those 4 or 4.5 seasons they were on.
Yeah, and sometimes shows like that will eventually run its course. So one more note about the show: in 1998, Alfonso Ribeiro won supporting actor in the comedy series. I can't talk today. He won outstanding supporting actor in the comedy series in the NAACP Image Award.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I think if you ask LL about it now, I think he actually likes it because I think he became a better actor, during those 4.5, 5 seasons that the show was on. Because remember, he hadn't done a lot of. He never really did a sitcom, but he never really didn't. He was just starting to kind of get his footing in Hollywood doing acting. Of course, he had been in a couple movies and such. So
remember The Hard Way back in 1989?
Yes, and Anaconda too. And Anaconda 2 as well, with John Voight and Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah,
so,
that was before the TV show, of course.
Yeah, that was like a year before the TV show. So yeah, I think he was kind of starting to, lead the sitcom. But yeah, I mean that kind of helped propel him. Of course, he went on and did NCIS Los Angeles. That lasted for like 15 years, I think.
I think isn't it still on the air now?
No, it ended. He was on the Hawaii version of it, but of course, unfortunately, that canceled. We'll see if he makes an appearance on the prequel series, and of course, or even the main NCIS show. That's still, I think it's like season like 20 for 21 or something. So I'm sure he'll probably make an appearance there. But yeah, he's definitely making a nice little resume for himself, and not only just with the music, but also with the acting as well.
It's just like I see he's lasted longer in Hollywood than he did in the music scene.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, kind of like. Did they ever say why Kim Wayans left after the 4th season?
Not that I can recall. I was trying to look that up, but I couldn't find anything why she left.
Because I think after she left, I think she was a big part of why the show became what it was. So after she left, you can kind of feel like something was missing. That's why I don't even bother rewatch those 6 episodes anymore.
Oh, the last season, yeah.
Yes,
you can, like you say, some things like that with those shows like that where they follow families, they don't stay live forever, so they come to an end. So like you said, it was the perfect timing. Like I said, that last season was a kind of seesaw at best. So for Old School TV Monday, we salute the 1990s TV sitcom from ABC and the OUPN in the house. Lakeena, close us out.
No diggity, no doubt, baby. You find Lakeena McGee. You find Lakeena McGee on the Twitter. Execute's gonna be in the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sidney Brown, on the Twitter, in the IG. Grandma's hands. Oh, I'm sorry. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please follow War Media at WARR Media on all social media platforms. Say thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV, the Roku TV app, or wherever you get your apps. I mean, when you're not watching live baseball on Sundays, early Sundays, you can catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, What's Up, Cuz, and a whole lot more. Of course, you get Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV.
And we will provide.
All right, folks. Enjoy the baseball, of course. I think that's about it. That's going on right now. Get ready to gear up for the Olympics coming up later this week. I think there are going to be some things that are going to. I think the judo part of it starts tomorrow, I believe. So you get a little bit of a kind of a kind of like the appetizer, if you will, with some of the bigger sports coming up over the weekend, and a whole lot more. So make sure you guys stay safe out there, and hopefully the bang will stop. Sorry, folks. For Sid, I'm Lakeena, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll see you Friday.
Holla!